The Haunting of Hill House is a 2018 Netflix original series written and directed by filmmaker Mike Flanagan, who has recently exploded onto the horror scene with cult hits like Oculus, Hush, and most recently the Stephen King adaptation of Gerald's Game, which was also developed for Netflix. The series itself is planned to be an anthology series, with each season telling a different story revolving around a haunted house of some sort. The first season is loosely based on the 1959 graphic horror novel of the same name, written by Shirley Jackson. The 10-episode season tells the story of a family of 5 siblings dealing with the childhood trauma they experienced while living in the infamous Hill House. The episodes tend to alternate between a few different timelines, showing the characters in present day most of the time, but also flashing back to moments from their time living in Hill House as children. The show kind of flows like this giant puzzle, with each episode revealing new pieces that help us understand exactly what happened to the family that led to them fleeing their house in the middle of the night back when they were kids. I can definitely say for sure that this is not one of your average run-of-the-mill popcorn horror flicks that you watch, to turn your brain off and have a fun time. This story is incredibly dark, and it deals with some super grim subject matter like depression, addiction, child abuse, sexual abuse, and suicide. While this is absolutely a horror story with a massive amount of brilliantly executed scares, the real thing that makes this show such a giant leap above everything else in the genre right now is the drama and the emotion that's put into it. This show really dives deep into the psyche of each and every character and really does a wonderful job of exploring, the long-lasting impacts of childhood trauma. Each family member has their own unique personality trait that serves a purpose to the story. Who these kids are as adults is completely a result of what they went through as children, and none of it ever feels forced or contrived at all, in my opinion. One of the biggest problems with modern horror is the lack of deep characters with emotion built in. With The Haunting of Hill House, it's the exact opposite. The supernatural moments in this show are so damn effective, not just because those scenes are executed with subtlety and suspense, but because they do the job of making you care about the characters being tormented. We feel the fear that they feel, and we know the suffering that they're dealing with, so we want to see them survive because of that, and it makes the horror that much more disturbing. We're not just waiting to see what's going to pop up to scare the characters, on screen. We're worried about what's around every corner, just like they are. You may have noticed that I'm being pretty vague during this review, and that's because I really don't want to spoil anything at all about this show. The trailer for it didn't show much significant footage from the series, and honestly, that's really the best way to go into this. There are jump scares in the show, but honestly, they are few and far between, and when they do show up, as shocking as it may sound, they are actually executed brilliantly. Anyone who knows me or has seen FearFlix before knows how much I despise jump scares, but here, there are only a handful of them, and they are placed perfectly. This is one of the only times I can ever remember where a jump scare actually creeped me out and gave me goosebumps. And again, without spoiling anything, this show is loaded with hidden ghosts and Easter eggs that you will almost definitely not notice upon first watching this show. And it's really remarkable that Mike Flanagan was able to slip so many subtle scares into completely normal scenes with no attention drawn to them at all. Things that are hidden in the background, oftentimes out of focus, and they're only usually there for a moment or two. The camera will pan one way, and there'll be something standing in the background as 2 characters are talking or walking around, and then the camera will pan back in the same shot, and that something that was there will no longer be there. Mike Flanagan, in my view, has absolutely earned the praise that he's gotten for his work so far. It's just refreshing to see a horror filmmaker who actually cares enough to put some substance into the genre. To me, horror will always work better when it's wrapped up in drama and emotion, that makes us care about the characters. Now, obviously, I'm not going to spoil the ending for anybody who hasn't seen it, but I will mention that the ending seems to be one aspect of the series that's been pretty polarizing for most people. People seem to either love the ending or absolutely hate it. For me personally, I was satisfied with the way it ended. Even though it is very different from the source material it's based on, The Haunting of Hill House is definitely a show I could not possibly recommend more for horror fans that are looking for something with some drama and some substance, and with plenty of absolutely terrifying and chilling moments to go around. You know, as I said in the beginning of this video, it's not for the faint of heart, as it does deal with some incredibly dark and depressing subjects, and you probably won't feel good after watching most of these episodes. To be honest, you'll probably feel pretty uncomfortable and creeped out, but if that's what you're looking for, then this is definitely one you don't want to miss out on. If you're looking for some horror with heart, definitely check out The Haunting of Hill House. And if you're like me, if you've already seen the first season of The Haunting of Hill House, I'm sure you're probably as ecstatic as I am at the prospect of season 2 coming relatively soon. I'm not sure if I don't think it's this year, I think it's next year. I could be wrong on that, I'll have to double check, but the main things that are confirmed so far is Mike Flanagan will be back writing and directing. From the sounds of it, it's going to be the same cast, just playing different roles, which is an interesting idea. I kind of like that, you know, being that it's an anthology series, I kind of like the idea of using the same actors each season to play different roles, especially considering how phenomenal the performances are in the first season. And believe me, they are absolutely incredible performances from both the kid actors and from the adult versions of the characters. It really blew me away with how talented this group of actors is. And a lot of these actors are actually in almost every single Mike Flanagan film. He's one of those filmmakers that seems to reuse a lot of the same actors over and over again with his projects. And I'm perfectly fine with that, because the way I look at it, as long as the actors are great at what they do, and as long as they can adapt to new characters with new characteristics, I'll be on board. As long as they give a convincing performance, that's all I care about. Because obviously the better the performance, the more I'm going to care about the characters, the more I'm going to feel for them when they're in these situations dealing with, you know, the supernatural terror that is stalking them. But I want to know what you guys think. If you've seen the first season of Haunting of Hill House, what did you think of it? Did you love it as much as I did? Did you find any flaws with it? Were you satisfied with the ending? Did you hate the ending like a decent amount of people seem to have hated it? Drop a comment down below. Let me know. I'd really love to know your thoughts on it. Are you excited for season 2? I think it's going to be called The Haunting of Bly Manor. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what it's called. I'm super excited for the second season. Let me know if you're excited for it, if you're looking forward to it. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, hit that like button. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.